Hi, this is Ilya, awesome designer, and welcome to the third part from Zero to Azure, installing the tools. So today I will talk about Visual Studio, the tool that we will use later on for our development. And first of all, let us recapitulate what you have learned so far in the last part. So you have learned about visualize first, run later, and you have learned how to write pseudocode, how to create Nasse-Snyderman diagrams and flowchart diagrams. These are the most common methods used to visualize your real-world problems into diagrams. If you have missed this part, I highly encourage you to watch this first and the other parts to keep up with us. Thank you. So here's what you learned today, and the major thing is about how to obtain the tools. This means how to get a hold of Visual Studio Express that we will use throughout our development. And I will show you also two different ways on how to obtain the other Visual Studio versions for free. So, if you want to download Visual Studio Express, you have to go to www.visualstudio.com. I will show you later how exactly to go there and where to download Visual Studio Express. We will work specifically with Visual Studio Express for Windows Desktop. That's basically because I want to show you the basic project types, the more usual project types, besides Windows 181 or Windows Phone project types. We will start with simple console applications, and this is the basic template that we need for most of the future episodes of this course. Like I said before, there's more. So if you are, for example, a student, or if you want to found a startup or you already have a startup, there are two options that you really should consider. The first one for students is Microsoft DreamSpark, where you can get tons of Microsoft software for free, including Visual Studio Professional. And for everyone who has founded a company that is less than 5 years old and makes under $1 million of revenue a year, can apply for Microsoft BizSpark. And the Microsoft BizSpark subscription includes 3 years of Microsoft Visual Studio Ultimate and tons of other software that you can use for your startup, including the commercial usage of those licenses, which is not possible in Microsoft DreamSpark, for example. Or, for example, for usual Visual Studio MSDN subscription. And MSDN stands for Microsoft Developers Network. And the amount of software that is included in these subscriptions, MSDN subscriptions, depends on the Visual Studio version. That starts from Visual Studio Professional and up to Visual Studio Ultimate. You can read more about the different Visual Studio versions and Microsoft DreamSpark and Microsoft BizSpark in the accompanying ebook that you can download from my blog. So please read the description of the video. There you will find the download link for the ebook. And now let me show you how to install Visual Studio Express. And I will do a detailed installation with you so that you can do it at home without any problems. To actually show you how to install Visual Studio Express, I have prepared a virtual machine that is running on my PC. And that way I can show you the installation without messing up my current installations. So for the first time, when you go to install Visual Studio Express, you have to visit www.visualstudio.com. And on this page, you can find lots of information about Visual Studio, Visual Studio Express, and all the other nice versions that can be downloaded from Microsoft. For us, the most important link now is downloads. And you can see here the free trails, 90-day trails, but we are interested in Visual Studio Express. And we are mainly interested in Visual Studio Express 2013 for Windows Desktop, which is the current version. The new version 2014 is already in a preview available for developers to test. So it can happen that we will change from 2013 to 2014 from within the course. Okay? So simply click on Visual Studio Express for Windows Desktop. And as you can see, you have the language menu here, where you can choose your main language. Please choose the language that you desire. And you have two installation options here. The first installation option is using the web installer, which runs the setup directly from the web, and it downloads all the components from the Microsoft server. So this method is a good method if you have a very fast internet connection, and yeah, it's a preferred method because all the files are always up to date and so on. The next the next possible method is to download the ISO image. An ISO image is like a DVD image that can be mounted in Windows. That can be mounted in Windows. That means that this file can be loaded into your Windows Explorer just like another drive, or a drive that is not really existing on your computer, but Windows Explorer will give it an icon of a DVD drive so that you can open it and you can simply start the installation from there. The other possibility is to download the DVD image and to burn it on a DVD. Currently, this download is about 800 MB. And what I will show you now is first what happens if I click on the Install Now link. So you see that I get two links because I have already an MSDN subscription. I can choose to download Visual Studio Ultimate, or I can choose to download and execute installation of Visual Studio Express 2013. So I click on that one. And you see that the installation will be started directly from the web. But this is not what I like to do now. I like to show you the installation directly from the ISO file. I have prepared already the download. So when you download the file, let me show you that. It will look like this. Okay, this is the ISO file. And when you right click the ISO file, you can choose Mount. Okay? Okay. So it's already mounted. So this is why I have this is why the error has occurred. And now I can simply double click and start the installer. Okay? And as you can see, I have to agree to the license terms. And please choose a path that has enough space, about 2.13 gigabytes. So you will need that space. More is always better. And simply click on install. So you have to confirm that the program has access to your system. And as you can see, it will install Visual Studio Express for Windows Desktop and some other components. So this will take quite a while. But as we have downloaded the ISO, it will be much faster. Yeah, and it will take about half an hour or so to install. And therefore I will pause the video until this process is finished. So, after successful setup, you will see this screen and you can click on the launch button. And I don't know if you have still to register with Visual Studio Express 2013. We will see that shortly. Let me see that. Okay, no, you don't have to do that now. So you can do it later if you have a Microsoft account. This will allow you to save your Visual Studio settings to SkyDrive and to get those Visual Studio settings from SkyDrive again. Visual Studio will take care of that, so if you log into another machine and you sign in again to Visual Studio, you will get your settings back. That's great. I can only suggest to do that. Okay, let's click that. And Visual Studio is going to prepare everything, the templates and everything in the background for the first run. This will take again a few minutes. I hope not. And yeah, let's see what we get. And yeah, after all, you see that installing Visual Studio is not that hard and it can be done by everyone. And I strongly suggest you to download the ebook from my blog and to read more about DreamSpark and BizSpark. Okay, this is what you see when Visual Studio was started for the first time. You can see that we are running the blue template for Visual Studio. You can change that using the options, and you can change the color theme to dark, blue or light. So I really like very much the dark theme. It's much better for your eyes, especially when you are tired. But I can show you now the light theme as well, which really hurts my eyes. But yeah, it's a personal preference and you can choose whatever you like, okay? I will set it back to dark. Okay. And yeah, this is it for today. Please don't forget to like the video if it was useful for you and share it, okay? Thank you.